Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Nimisha Mataji and everybody. So we are going to begin from that purport. Just a moment, 526. Dipti Mataji,
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
yes, it was yours text and purport.
Yes,
So the paragraph that begins with "just try to worship."
yes.
You read that paragraph,
Mhm.
and you are going to begin from the in the conditioned soul, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, let's
We
do
can
that.
we can start from just try to worship again.
Yes, sure, sure. Let's do that.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Just try to worship in devotional service. Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even great sages are not able to control the forces of the senses as effectively as those who are engaged.
Dipti Mataji, could you pause for a moment?
Sure.
Ram Prabhu and Nimisha Mataji, is Dipti Mataji's volume little bit low?
Yes, it
Yes.
is.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
very hard.
it is last week and this week. This week is even little bit lower than last week. Could you please come closer to mic, Dipti Mataji, and begin?
Okay. Is it better now?
It is better, yes. How about Ram Prabhu and Nimisha Mataji? Is it better?
Better now. Thank you.
Yes, better.
Thank,
Prabhuji.
thank you so much. Yes,
Sorry.
that's all right.
Okay. So I'll start from the beginning again, yeah. Just try to worship in devotional service Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even greatest sages are not able to control the forces of the senses as effectively as those who are engaged in transcendental bliss by serving the lotus feet of the Lord, uprooting the deep grown desire for fruitive activities. In the conditioned soul, the desire to enjoy the fruitive results of
Dipti
work.
Mataji, sorry about that,
Yes,
because two more devotees just joined. Could you please tell them where you are reading?
yeah, sure. It's chapter 5, text 26, and the paragraph is first, second, third. In the conditioned soul.
Thank you.
Okay. In the conditioned soul, the desire to enjoy the fruitive results of work is so deep rooted that it is very difficult even for the great sages to control such desires despite great endeavors. A devotee of the Lord, constantly engaged in devotional service in Krishna consciousness, perfect in self realization, very quickly attains liberation in the Supreme. Owing to his complete knowledge in self realization, he always remains in trance. To cite an analog example of this is Darshana Dhyana Samsparse Matya Kurma Vihangamaha Ma Swani Apatyani Pushnanti Tathaham Api Padmaja. By vision, by meditation, and by touch, only to the fish, the tortoise, and the birds maintain their offsprings. Similarly, do I also, O Padmaja? The fish brings up its offspring simply by looking at them. The tortoise brings up its offspring simply by meditation. The eggs of the tortoise are laid on land, and the tortoise meditates on the egg while the water. Oops, whose voices are coming? Sorry,
I don't hear any voice.
I can hear some.
Conversation in background. Just a moment. Let me see if it is from my other.
Okay,
I think it is from Dharamveer Prabhu.
okay. You heard it, Mataji, did you?
Yeah, when whoever is talking, the four sort of changes on the screen, so you can see whose voice is coming, where is the voice coming from.
Okay.
So I saw that is coming from Prabhuji's.
Mm-hmm.
My wife was listening to the lecture, maybe from there. Sorry about that.
Okay, that's fine, Prabhuji.
She is that noise gone, Mataji?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay. Um, Similarly, the devotee in Krishna consciousness, although far away from the Lord's abode, can elevate himself to the abode simply by thinking of him constantly. By engagement in Krishna consciousness, he does not feel the pang of material misery. This state of life is called Brahma Nirvana, or the absence of material misery due to being constantly immersed in the Supreme. Hare Krishna. So I'll just say a few points which I've jotted down for this text. Here, it, Krishna is trying to explain us that it is very difficult to control the desires and the senses. Even the great sages are finding it very difficult to control them. If you are just doing just plain penance and not doing any devotional services. So if it is easy for the for the devotee of Krishna, because devotee is constantly engaged in the service of Krishna. They have got the self-discipline of the soul. They follow all the regulative principles in that devotional service. So try try and focus more um, on their chanting, offering prasadam, making and keeping Krishna. So basically, keeping Krishna in everything what they do. So it becomes very easy for them not to get attached to the fruits of their activities, because they are offering everything to Krishna. So that way, for devotee to control their sense desire becomes much more easier. And the example of fish and tortoise is given over here, that fish, even just looking at their offspring, can take care of them, and tortoise, by meditating on the egg and their offspring, take care of of its offspring. In the similar way, devotee of Krishna meditates on Krishna, and because devotee has got a very high taste of Krishna consciousness, for them the other taste of material desires becomes minor, and it becomes easier for them to control it. They can switch over easily, which is but for the other people, it is even sages, it is very difficult to control their material desires and fruitive activities. um, Another thing is, for the real devotee, thinks that his position with in compared to Krishna and the relationship with Krishna, so they know that, like we know, that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer and master, whereas we are all the eternal servants. So our duty is to offer the loving devotional service to Krishna, and then we can enter into the transcendental state, and it is easy for us to attain the liberation in that, that way. Hare
Thank you so much, Dipti Mataji. You very kindly read the purport of 526 for those devotees who joined little late. We finished the purport of 526, and Dipti Mataji um, highlighted few points from there. That was very good. Yes, you are right. Krishna consciousness is a nectar. Krishna is ocean of pleasure, all attractive, and rasaras. That's Krishna's nature, unlimitedly happy and joyful, blissful. That is Krishna. And let me give you one example. If you find a piece of iron from home and put it in fire, after 5 minutes or sometimes the black iron, cold black iron becomes red hot, like a fire itself, red hot. And when you touch any object with that iron, that object will be burned. Skin, clothes, etc., even wood, it will be burned because that cold black iron came in the association with fire, became like fire. That's the example given by Prabhupada. In the same way, Krishna is unlimitedly joyful, unlimitedly happy, unlimitedly blissful. When we come in contact with Krishna, we become like that. And some devotees are very joyful, some devotees are a little bit blissful, some devotees are very blissful. It depends on the level of our relationship, how deep, how committed is our relationship, how much sincere we are in the relationship with Krishna. So anyway, when we come in contact with Krishna, when we serve Krishna, we become blissful. And when we have the higher taste, the lower taste of them that are derived from the material objects, they automatically disappear as soon as you have the higher taste. And that's the Krishna consciousness. Hearing, chanting, hearing about Krishna, chanting his glories, kirtan, etc., Sravanam, Kirtanam, all these give us higher taste, and we automatically abandon the material things, material objects. Either we abandon or we transcendentalize, we turn them into transcendental purpose. We, we turn that into Krishna conscious things. We spiritualize the material things. And by doing that, you automatically seize the material objects. That's the, yeah, that's simply in different language, different words, what Dipti Mataji said. Does any devotee would like to add any points from this purport? Please make your points relevant like Dipti Mataji did, relevant to the purport. We last week we added so many examples. We may not do that because of the time limited. Time is limited. If there is any purport, please unmute yourself and say something from the purport. If something needs to be clarified, reinstated. So I don't see anybody unmuting. So we will move to 27 and 28. And I'm allocated to read that. So I will try to read 27, 28. Before that, I would like to switch on the light. Please bear with me. स्पर्शान् कृत्वा बहिर्बाह्यां चक्षुश्चैवान्तरे भ्रुवः प्राणपानौ समौ कृत्वा नासाभ्यन्तरचारिणौ यतेन्द्रिय मनोबुद्धिर् मुनिर्मोक्षपरायणः विगतेच्छा भयक्रोधो यः सदा मुक्त एव सः Sparshan, sense objects such as sound, kritva, keeping, bahihi, external, bayan, unnecessary, chakshuhu, eyes, cha, also, eva, certainly, antare, between, bhruvoho, the eyebrows, prana apano. There is a prana apano in Sanskrit. It is prana apano. When it is separated, that's how it has to be translated, pronounced. Prana apano, up and down moving air. Samo, in suspension. Kritva, keeping. Nasa abhyantara, within the nostrils. Charino, blowing. Yata, controlled. Indriya, senses. Mana, mind. Buddhi, intelligence. Muni, the transcendentalist. Moksha, for liberation. Parayanaha, being so destined. Bigata, having discarded ichha, wishes. Bhaya, fear. Krodha, anger. Yaha, one who. Sada, always. Muktaha, liberated. Eva, certainly. Saha, he is. Translation of text 27 and 28. We are missing Surya Prabhu today. Translation 27-28. Shutting out all external sense objects, keeping the eyes and vision concentrated between the two eyebrows, suspending the inward and outward breaths within the nostrils, and thus controlling the mind, senses, and intelligence. The transcendentalist aiming at liberation becomes free from desire, fear, and anger. One who is always in this state is certainly liberated. Purport of 27-28. Being engaged in Krishna consciousness, one can immediately understand one's spiritual identity, and then one can understand the Supreme Lord by means of devotional service. Bhaktya mam avijanati yavan yasasmi tattataha. There is a shlok in Bhagavad Gita. Bhaktya mam avijanati yavan yasasmi tattataha. Bhaktya mam, by devotional service, bhaktya, by devotional service, mam, me, yavan yasasmi tattataha, can know me in truth, in completeness, by devotional service. And Prabhupada is saying here, by devotional service, one can know the Lord. When one is well situated in devotional service, one comes to the transcendental position. Straightforward. Qualified to feel the presence of the Lord in the sphere of one's activity. If you carry on with devotional service, you feel the presence of Lord in the sphere of your activities. When you go to work, even if you are going to work, even if you are rickshaw driver, taxi driver, or manager, corporate manager in a corporate bank, corporate world, if you have that consciousness, you can feel the presence of Krishna. The problem we don't feel the presence of Krishna is because we don't have that consciousness. We tend to forget, and we tend to think that I'm doing this, I'm the enjoyer, I'm the doer, and I'm doing it for my sense gratification. There is somehow at the bottom, even subconsciously, there is some sort of sense gratification, and we don't feel the presence of Krishna. I'm not talking I feel the presence of Krishna. No, I'm also a learner. We do not have that consciousness, and we don't feel. But if we have that consciousness, we feel the presence of Krishna. This particular position is called liberation in the Supreme. So you are doing the material things, you are working in corporate world. I'm not talking about book distribution, making garlands, dressing up deities. They are done by full-time devotees, or when we go to temple, we do these things. But I'm talking about while doing the things in the material world, they look like material, but they are not material. One best example in Bhagavad Gita itself is the fighting Arjuna is doing. Arjuna is fighting, but that is the devotional service because he's fighting for Krishna. If we fight, if we do in that consciousness, then that work, even it looks mundane externally, but internally, that is devotional service. That is done for the pleasure of Rishikesha, Krishna. So it's not that what you do or what you do not do. It's not that you don't do one thing and do something else. It's the consciousness behind, motive consciousness behind the activity that determines whether it is devotional service or not. Next paragraph of 27-28, second paragraph. After explaining the above principles of liberation in the Supreme, the Lord gives instruction to Arjuna as to how one can come to that position by the practice of the mysticism or yoga known as Ashtanga Yoga, which is divisible into an eightfold procedure called Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. We do not worry about knowing the meanings of these words. These are processes in Ashtanga Yoga. We may find in the scripture somewhere, but is there, we don't need to worry about it. I don't know the word meanings of all these. I don't know exact definition of these words, and I don't worry about these. But if devotees want, they can by all means do extra study and have the meaning, but these are not that much useful for devotional, not necessary to know for our devotional service, devotional life. So I don't worry about knowing these. But if we know basic, it may help. Why not? In the sixth chapter, the subject of yoga is explicitly detailed, and at the end of the fifth, it is only preliminarily explained. So these concepts, these words, these definitions, these terms are from Ashtanga Yoga. And let's see, in sixth chapter, which deals in detail, we may find something. I carry on reading. One has to drive out the sense objects such as sound, touch, form, taste, and smell by the pratyahara process in yoga, and then keep the vision of the eyes between the two eyebrows and concentrate on the tip of the nose with half closed lids. If somebody tells you, if your guru tells you, let's say you have a guru, not Vaishnava guru, he tells you or she tells you, okay, you stand still, sit still, idle, concentrate on the tip of your nose. Try to look at on the tip of your nose. How long can you do that? But here is a nice prasadam, Krishna prasadam, delicious, you eat, you can be connected with Krishna and come and sit in the kirtan. We know how kirtan is like. Our kirtan is well different from any other, I guarantee, any other Hindu community, any other Vaishnava communities, kirtan is not as good as. Come and sit in the kirtan and dance whenever you get the opportunity. Our kirtan is completely different. Some people do kirtan, but the whole group sings, the whole group leads, the whole group follows. And so it's not proper. Here, our kirtan is the leader leads, the follower follows. We listen to the leader, and the followers follow. As we know, when the followers follow, the leader hears the sound vibration. Our kirtan is completely blissful. So if we uh, tell the person, come and do kirtan, sit down in kirtan, he will be very happy. So Ashtanga yoga process is very boring. And can we engage a child? Can we engage a housewife? Can we engage an old man? Can we engage a manager who works in corporate environment in Ashtanga yoga? No, we can't. So there is no benefit in closing the eyes altogether, because then there is every chance of falling asleep. Nor is there benefit in opening the eyes completely, because then there is the hazard of being attracted by sense objects. The breathing movement is restrained within the nostrils by neutralizing the up moving and down moving air with the body. This requires practice. This requires years and years of practice. This is very technical Ashtanga yoga thing. Everybody cannot do it. But as I gave example, as we know, kirtan, eating prasadam, dancing, deity service, reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, talking about Krishna, which we are doing now, listening about Krishna, anybody can do it, and the benefit is much higher. Even if you progress in Ashtanga yoga, if you do, if you are on the very high level in Ashtanga yoga, still there is a chance to fall down. By practice of such yoga, one is able to gain control over the senses, refrain from outward sense objects, and thus prepare oneself for liberation in the Supreme. Next paragraph, the last paragraph of 2728. This yoga process helps one become free from all kinds of fear and anger, and thus feel the presence of the super soul in the transcendental situation. In other words, Krishna consciousness is the easiest process of executing yoga principles. Yoga principles. Yoga is to connect. There is a connection between the soul and the super soul. There is a connection between Jiva and the Bhagavan. That is the yoga process. Yoga actually does not mean doing exercise, body exercise. The purpose of that yoga is focusing on breath, participating in Ashtanga yoga, and um, that is what it is supposed to be. So generally or specifically, yoga means to connect. What is the best connection? The best connection is connection between the soul and the super soul, or Jiva and Bhagavan. This will be thoroughly explained in the next chapter. This Ashtanga Yoga concept will be explained in more detail in the next chapter. As Prabhupada says, a Krishna conscious person, however, being always engaged in devotional service, does not risk losing his senses to some other engagement. This is a better way of controlling the senses than by Ashtanga Yoga. So, Krishna consciousness is the better way of controlling the senses. Even persons who are in Ashtanga Yoga, they may fall down. Mayavadis can fall down, but a devotee never falls down. Devotee never falls down. Even if a devotee, there is a lapse, the devotee falls down, but after 2 years, after 10 years, or next life, he or she will begin from the same level from where they fell off. That's the beauty of devotional service to Lord Krishna. So, I have finished explaining 2728. Unless some devotee have any point to add from this purport, please unmute. Otherwise, we will move to 529. which is allocated to Krishnavani Mataji and Sundari Mataji. One person can read shloka, translation, word meanings and translation, and one third of the purport, and then another person of you can read two-thirds of the purport. So maybe to keep it simple, could I ask Krishnavani Mataji to begin 529 and read about one third of the purport and explain that? Then Sundari Mataji will read the two-thirds of the purport and can explain or can say few words, few points from there. Krishnavani Mataji, please unmute yourself before you speak. Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Can you hear? We can hear.
Yes, I can hear very well. Thank you.
Okay, text 29. Bhoktaram yagyatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram shuhidam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam santim ruchati. Bhoktaram, the beneficiary, yagya of sacrifices, tapasam and penances and austerities, sarvaloka of all planets and the demigods thereof. Ishwaram, the Supreme Lord, Suhidam, the benefactor, Sarva of all, Bhutana, the living entities, Gyatva, thus knowing, me, Lord Krishna, Shantim, relief from material pangs, Ruchati, one achieves. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. A person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the Supreme Lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The conditioned souls within the clutches of illusory energy are all anxious to attain peace in the material world. But they do not know the formula for peace, which is explained in this part of the Bhagavad Gita. The greatest peace formula is simply this. Lord Krishna is the beneficiary in all human entities. Men should offer everything to the transcendental service of the Lord because He is the proprietor of all planets and the demigods thereon. No one is greater than He. He is greater than the greatest of the demigods, Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. In the Vedas, Svetasvatar Upanishad 6.7, the Supreme Lord is described as Tam Ishwaranam Paramam Maheshwaram. Under the spell of illusion, living entities are trying to be lords of all they survey. But actually, they are dominated by the material energy of the Lord. The Lord is the master of material nature, and the conditioned soul are under the stringent rules of material nature. Unless one understands these bare facts, it is not possible to achieve peace in the world either individually or collectively. This is the sense of Krishna consciousness. Lord Krishna is the supreme predominator, and all living entities, including the great demigods, are his subordinates. One can attain perfect peace only in complete Krishna consciousness. Right in here, it says that all the conditioned souls in the material world, they all are talking about peace, but everybody is talking about peace, but unless and until, like they take the shelter of the Lord, they cannot achieve peace because, in the material world, even in the, all the living entities in the material, even I can say living entities or demigods, everybody, we all are under the, like under the pangs of Maya. We are under material nature's law. So we are not free. And unless and until, like we know that Krishna is the supreme. He is the, like he is the creator and maintainer and destroyer. He is everything. He is the cause of everything. So as is, like as he is everything, everything is under his control, and we are all his subordinate. So our duty is to, serve him, and so by to become a subordinate to him, by taking shelter of him, by doing a devotional service, that is the way, that is the only way we can get the peace, because we are part and parcel of the God. And like Srila Prabhupada gives an example, if it's a machine and the machine has lots of different parts, but if one of the part is not there or missing, then the whole, like machine is not going to work. And the same thing is like, even, I heard from you, Prabhu, that you give an example of Lord Sun God, because Sun God and sun rays, because Sun God, sun disk is different, and Sun God is a personality, and there are sun rays. But sun rays are not full. They are part of the sun. So if we see the sun rays, if it comes in our house and if we say the sun is here, but actual sun is not here. So like that, like Krishna, God is the supreme. And in, oh no, I think in chapter 9 it says that, like he is, even chapter 14 and chapter 9, he says, he is the seed-giving father. He is the father of everyone, and we are parts and parcel of him. So our duty is to serve him if we want to become happy. That's all I can.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Krishnavani Mataji. You very beautifully explained. Just one point about on the analogy of machine and its different parts. When the parts are not functioning properly, the parts will be abandoned, and the another parts will be brought. That malfunctioning part will be abandoned, chucked into rubbish. In the same way, when we don't serve Krishna, we are malfunctioning. If we malfunction, we are chucked into big, never-ending pool of sorrow, which is like rubbish, pool of sorrow of material ocean. If we don't malfunction, if we function properly, appropriately, then we will be in a blissful state. We will be with Krishna. So apart from that, I just wanted to clarify on that. You gave very kindly that I know when we speak, we can't think and speak properly sometimes, but just wanted to clarify on that. So otherwise, that's great. That was very helpful. So we now Sundari Mataji's turn to read the rest of the paragraph. And if you like, Mataji, you can say something. Please unmute yourself before you speak.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Everyone. Sorry, very nice explanation going on. I don't know whether I will be that good as everyone else, so I will just try my best. This fifth chapter is a practical explanation of Krishna consciousness, generally known as Karma Yoga. The question of mental speculation as to how Karma Yoga can give liberation is answered here within. To work in Krishna consciousness is to work with the complete knowledge of the Lord as predominator. Such work is non-different from transcendental knowledge. Direct Krishna consciousness is Bhakti Yoga, and Jnana Yoga is the path leading to Bhakti Yoga. Krishna conscious means to work in full knowledge of one's relationship with Supreme Absolute, and the perfection of this consciousness is full knowledge of Krishna or Supreme Personality of Godhead. A pure soul is eternal servant of God as his fragmental part and parcel. So here Prabhupada explains every single soul, a pure soul is servant of Krishna or God, and they are part and parcel of Krishna. So the only happiness we achieve from is serving Krishna. So in this chapter, in the beginning, they said we can't enjoy the or attain peace aloof from Krishna. We have to have Krishna in the center, like they say outwardly, like from outwardly we're performing all the actions, but inwardly we are renouncing their fruits. This is what it says in this Karma Yoga. So we do everything to please Krishna. A pure soul is eternal servant of God as his fragmental part and parcel. He comes into contact with Maya, illusion, due to the desire to lord over Maya. So when we come in contact with Maya, so we desire Maya, then Lord, that's the cause of all the sufferings. So is the cause of many sufferings. As long as he is in contact with matter, he has to execute the work in terms of material necessities. Krishna conscious, however, brings one into spiritual life, even while one is within the jurisdiction of matter. So we can spiritualize our life in this life, living in this material world, dealing with all the material activities. When we spiritualize our activities, like do activities in Krishna conscious, for it is an arousing of spiritual existence by practice in material world. The more one is advanced, the more he is freed from the clutches of matter. The Lord is not partial towards anyone. Everything depends on one's practical performance of duties in Krishna conscious. So in this Karma Yoga is very strongly pointing at doing the karmas, like whatever activities we do, whatever do job, the housework, dealing with family, we all do as a part of Krishna conscious as our duties, which helps one to control the senses in every respect and conquer the influence of desire and anger. So by doing this activities or doing things in Krishna conscious, then we are conquering the influence of desire and anger. So slowly all the desires we have, they transform into pleasing Krishna through our activities rather than pleasing ourselves. It's gradual process. We have that experience while we advance in Krishna conscious. In every respect, conquer the influence of desire and anger. And one who stands fast in Krishna conscious, controlling the above mentioned passions, remains factually in transcendental stage or Brahma Nirvana. The eightfold yoga mysticism is automatically practiced in Krishna consciousness because the ultimate purpose is served. So all these yoga practices named in this chapter, they are all fulfilled when we practice Krishna conscious seriously, because which is the ultimate purpose of our life. There is a gradual process of elevation in practice of yamna, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. But these only preface perfection by devotional service. So again, like Prabhupada is explaining, only by devotional service that everything can be done. Every Krishna will be satisfied, the body will be satisfied, and everybody will be happy, attain the eternal peace and happiness, which alone can award peace to human being. It is the highest perfection of the life, and that's the highest perfect life when we are um, just working towards Krishna conscious or pleasing Krishna indirectly. So this is the um, like essence of this chapter and this verse. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
And could you read the last bit, Mataji? Thus ends. Thus end.
That ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the fifth chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita in matter of karma yoga or action in Krishna conscious.
Thank you very much. I personally found that very helpful, very beautifully explained, very enlightening, of course, very beneficial. I'm so pleased. That was very beautiful to hear. Um, as this purport is summary of the whole chapter, that's it sounded like that. So we have to read this purport over and over again. Unless any devotees has anything to say to add, we will move to chapter 6, text 1.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
I had few points written when Sutapa Prabhu was explaining this text. If you don't mind, I can tell you.
Oh, yes, please. Yes, please.
Yeah, in very simple and practical terms, he said that perform your duty at your best for Krishna. Do not expect anything because you are thinking that Krishna is the in charge and you are working for Krishna. So any of these results of your work will not affect you, and you will not be sad or you will not be angry. And for the jealousy and greed, if you see someone successful or wealthy, you can only see that this is Krishna's power given to that person, and that will make you more humble and peaceful and happy.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Have you finished?
Oh, yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
That's great. Thank you very much. That's a nice, short, and sweet. Okay, unless any devotees have anything to add, we will move to chapter 6. I was thinking to go and go through and summarize it, but we can read on our own time. So summarizing doesn't do any justice because this is all beautiful chapter and we have to read everything. We have begun our studies. We haven't finished these chapters. In fact, we have begun. We are beginning to study. Anil Prabhu wants to say something or not? Or he has muted. I think he doesn't.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Anil Prabhu.
Oh, yeah, I was trying to unmute my mic. It was not unmuting. So
I
I
see.
don't know why it was such. So the basic thing, yeah, thank you. Prabhuji, I only had one point. I remember Prabhupada once was invited to the World Religion Conference, and all the devotees, all the other religion people, they came to invite him, but he did not go there because he had only one point, which is from this verse, I think. He said that only universal brotherhood can be there. If you're talking about universal brotherhood, it can only be there if you accept the universal father, that is the Krishna. If we are not accepting a common father in a family or in the whole universe or in the world, we cannot think or cooperate each other as a brother. The brotherhood cannot succeed if you don't have the common father. In a family, the relationship is through the father, because we know that we are from the same father, we are brothers. That was the beautiful point raised by Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Wow, that's very good. Quoting Prabhupada's in relation to these texts and purports, that's really wonderful. And it's very good. Thank you so much, Anil Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
You got 100 out of 100 by doing that.
So, okay, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's wonderful. Uh,
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Sorry to interrupt. I think your voice is not coming. Is it on mute?
I beg your pardon. I muted myself and I began speaking. So 6-1, unless I assume now we are okay to move to 6-1. And 6-1 is allocated to Krishnavani Mataji. Even if you have not read it before, doesn't matter. Please read Mataji and tell us something about this purport and the shloka. Thank you so much.
Okay, Prabhu, but I have not read it, but I will try. Hare Krishna. Chapter 6, Dhyana Yoga. Text 1. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Anashita Karma Phalam Karya Karma Karoti Yaha Sannyasi Cha Yogi Cha Na Niragnir Na Chakriya Chakriyaha. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, the Lord said, Anashritaha, without taking shelter, karma phalam, of the result of work, karyam, obligatory, karma, work, karoti, performs, yaha, one who, saha, he, sannyasi, in the renounced order, cha, also, yogi, mystic, cha, also, na, not, ni, without, Agni, fire, nor cha, also akriyaha, without duty. Oh, cha akriyaha. Okay, chakriya. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, one who is unattached to the fruits of his work and who works as he is obligation is in the renounced order of life, and he is the true mystic, not he who lights no fire and perform no duty. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In this chapter, the Lord explains that the process of the Eightfold Yoga system is a means to control the mind and the senses. However, it is very difficult for people in general to perform, especially in the age of Kali. Although the Eightfold Yoga system is recommended in this chapter, the Lord emphasizes that the process of Karma Yoga or acting in Krishna consciousness is better. Even in the previous chapter, they talked about Eightfold Yogas, Ashtanga Yoga, but to practice Ashtanga Yoga in the Kali Yuga is very, very difficult, and to control the mind. But here Krishna says, like to practice Krishna consciousness is simple. And when we do the is better. Everyone acts in this world to maintain his family and their paraphernalia, but no one is working without some self-interest, some personal gratification, be it concentrated or extended. The criterion of perfection is to act in Krishna consciousness and not with a view of enjoying the fruits of work. To act in Krishna consciousness is the duty of every living entity because all are constitutionally parts and parcel of the Supreme. The parts of the body work for the satisfaction of the whole body. The limbs of the body do not act for self-satisfaction, but for the satisfaction of the complete whole. Similarly, the living entity who act for satisfaction of the supreme whole and not for personal satisfaction is the perfect sannyasi, the perfect yogi. Here in Krishna consciousness, Krishna is telling that you have to act. Nobody can stay without acting. You have to act, but you do not desire for the results. So when a person is acting in Krishna consciousness, so you do your devotional service, but do not desire for the fruits of the results. And like Krishna here, Krishna has given an example of the body, parts of the body that like the parts of the body is working for the whole body. Like if it says that hands and legs decide to go on strike, then like so the legs are not going to go and do the shopping, hands are not going to do the cooking or any work, and they're not putting in the mouth, so the body is not going to get any nourishment, and it's you're not going to get a result because day by day your body is going to get weak, and then you either you get sick or you die. So the main thing is we are part and parcel of the Krishna, we are part and parcel of the Lord, and our constitutional duty is to serve the Lord. But so when we serve the Lord, we are doing our duty. But while doing the duty, we have to make sure that we offer the fruits to the Lord because everything belongs to the Lord. So when we offer the fruits, then we are not even entangled, and that is called a perfect yoga.
Thank you so much, Mataji, Krishna Bani Mataji. We will read the rest of the purport next week. It is 7:30 now.
Okay.
So we will end here. And
Okay, Prabhu.
would you mind reading the rest of the purport next week for us?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you very much. So
Okay.
please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you so
Same
much,
to you.
devotees.
Hare
All glory
Krishna.
to Srila Prabhupada.
All
Hare
goes to Srila
Hare
Prabhupada.
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, devotees.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
very much to everyone.
Hare,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna. Thank you so much.